Okay, welcome everyone to our next episode of playthrough of Pokemon Shield. So we are currently working our way through the post-game prior to the DLC. So what we're doing is running around to all the different stadiums to battle the Pokemon which are appearing as dynamax'd forms. So we've done Hulbury and Turfield, we just need to do Motostoke. Then, I don't think it comes as much as a surprise, it pops up in extra gyms after that. So yeah, we'll just head straight through them. Last episode we worked on our last two in-game trades, so those are all done now. So this will still be an in-game trade only playthrough, but we won't be worrying about changing our team that much because I think yeah, it should be pretty set with what we've got. Linear here is level 50, but I'm sure it will catch up since the whole party gets EXP. And yeah, so let's just get through this and hopefully we can start on the Isle of Armor, which is the first part of the DLC, fairly quickly. So I've forgotten which Pokemon is Dynamax'd here, but I guess we'll find out fairly soon. Here's Kabu. Alright, in we go. So there's been a few things going on in the overall Pokemon community. Pokemon Unite came out. I haven't played it. I'm not really that into MOBAs, and yeah, it's just, I feel like I've got plenty of games at the moment that I'm working my way through that I don't need to add a big MOBA to it, but it from the sound of things people are enjoying it, which is it's always a good sign to see how people are going with the different games. Yeah, there was a lot of negativity towards it with Tencent being involved, but when people realize how involved Tencent is in a whole bunch of different things, you know, just being annoyed at them for making a MOBA Pokemon related, that's just one little slice of the pie of what they've got, because you're having fingers in all sorts of different pies, being like Discord and whatever else. It's yeah, it's the unfortunate thing in the world that we live in, where the companies are involved in a whole bunch of different things. And there's some Pokemon Go controversy going on at the moment because they've rolled out the changes in America and New Zealand for winding back the COVID benefits. So what happened at the beginning of 2020, I think, when the pandemic started, Niantic introduced a whole bunch of different incentives to make people stay home and not go out as much. Things including, you know, like more gifts brought to you by your buddies, so you don't have to go to Pokestops, increased incense ability, so making Pokemon spawn more frequently from incense, whereas incenses weren't really that good before it, apparently. I wouldn't really know because I've only played the game when incenses are as they are now, and I do use them. But yeah, so then the biggest one was the distance being dropped from 80 meters to 40 meters. So 40 meters was the original distance that you needed to be in order to spin a Pokestop, and then they changed it to 80 so that people could be a bit more spread out as they're walking around. So everyone seemed okay with the majority of the changes being rolled back, but they were quite unhappy about the distance, and Niantic just went ahead and did the distance thing anyway, which you know, I've seen it before in terms of what people are saying on the Reddit forums and all of that, with boycotting the game, not spending money on it. I see it a lot in MapleStory, and I've certainly told people not to spend money on the game for certain things. because it just sends the wrong message. You know, if you vote with your wallet, they're more likely to notice it. But I guess it will come down to, whether they want to change it or not. So obviously, being in Australia, I'm not really affected by it, so I can't really say how it's affecting my gameplay. I pretty much sit on a Pokestop at work, so I'm quite fortunate. I'm not 40 meters away from it. I'm probably like 5 meters away from it, where my office building is, and I've got another 4 or 5 Pokestops within distance. So I'm sure some of them might fall out with the distance decrease if it does come to Australia, but I don't think it'll be coming to Australia anytime soon, because if you follow the news, Australia, pretty much the whole eastern seaboard side is in lockdown, apart from where I used to live down in Melbourne. They only just came out of lockdown a week or two ago. I'm currently in lockdown until Sunday, but it's probably going to get extended, and then New South Wales and Sydney are in a lockdown because of the amount of cases that they're getting. But it's head to the research lab. I did not pay attention to what they were talking about, but yeah, I think there's a problem that's gone on here. And so it's obviously, like, I'd be against that change coming here just because of how it affects everyone's gameplay overall. Just because it doesn't affect mine, it doesn't mean that it's not affecting someone else. So it would obviously be best if I would have preferred them to see leaving everything as it is, like incense and all of that, just because it's not really that game breaking. It's just making the game more enjoyable with with how it is. Here we go. Steady on. Is it a double battle? Yes. Okay. Colossiopod, huh? And so I think that the game is great as it is, being that I never really played it prior to the changes, but looking at the changes, I'd rather them not change incense, because I think, especially going into not that really that we're in the post-COVID world just yet, but I think the playing style of a lot of people will change, especially older people who work. There might be people who've gone from working in office building to working from home, where they won't have as much access. I know that the game is about getting out and about, and I still have been. I'm still working at my workplace even though we're in lockdown. It's very strange being in the car industry and having to go into work when customers aren't allowed to come in. But even if I weren't doing that, if I were working from home, my gameplay certainly is impacted, because I don't have a Pokestop near me. I do have some on the walk that I go on in the morning with my dog, but other than that, I don't really have much in terms of spawn rate around me, because they don't allow that many Pokemon to spawn at your house when they work out the general location where you live. You have to go like 10 meters one way, 10 meters another way for something to spawn, which is fine because I can do that when I go off on walks and stuff. But the way that it works with incense rates at the moment, I think a Pokemon spawns every minute, which is fine. But then if they change it back to what it used to be, I think it's one every 5 minutes, and that's a lot worse than yeah, going from one a minute. And yeah, I think the distance change, it stops people from having to cross the street, so it reduces that risk of, you know, if you're not paying attention. I know that I've stepped out onto the street once or twice when I've been looking at my phone and I've glanced up to see what traffic's coming, but I haven't paid as much attention as you should to what's going on in your surroundings. And that wasn't to get to a Pokestop, that was just crossing the street so I could get to my car. But yeah, just leaving the distance at 80 meters, I can certainly see the advantages of doing that. And it avoids just all sorts of situations. If you don't want to impede on a workplace, if you don't want to be standing in front of a shop blocking the view from potential customers or even access to it, it would probably be an advantage to have it a little bit wider. I can certainly understand the arguments for reducing it because of the sponsored stops. You don't have sponsored stops in Australia, so I don't really see them. I do see them in videos when I watch them of things from the US, and I know that you'd want like a sponsored 7-Eleven stop or a Verizon store where you'd want people to go near them or more actually into them so that those businesses could benefit from sponsoring Pokemon Go. But yeah, otherwise there's no real other real importance in terms of lowering the distance to a Pokestop. But yeah, look, I'll put up with the incense changes if they do eventually come to Australia. Down it goes. But yeah, so it's disappointing because like my opinion of Niantic so far has been that they were a fairly good company in comparison to something like Nexon Korea, where we just constantly feel like we're getting stepped on as a player base, where they don't really care that much about us. They care about the people who are spending money on the game, but they don't really care about the average free-to-play player, where they just keep impacting on that segment's experience and not really caring about how much it affects their gameplay or even new players coming into the game. Because I think looking at it from a standpoint of coming into playing Pokemon Go, sure, there were things that I had to watch content creators for in order to see, you know, how they... Well, good, I was hoping that wasn't going to flinch me. Alright, that doesn't affect... You know, silly me. But yeah, like getting into Pokemon Go was very easy. I enjoyed the quest lines that automatically activate when you get to a certain level, in terms of having access to things like Mew and Celebi and what was the other one? Jirachi. And yeah, just being able to get those things as a catch-up quest rather than with something like MapleStory, where if you weren't playing the game 6-7 years ago, there's items that you won't be able to obtain again, just because they won't ever be re-released. And sorry, if it's best in slot, then you're gonna have to settle for second best. And yeah, like you can't give every player every single item, but you've got to at least give everyone a chance to have it at a certain point by re-releasing things and just having them come back around. But yeah, that's something that I found that the Pokemon Go did very well, and I think they are very similar games in terms of when you really grind it down to the basics in terms of spawn control and things like that, because spawn control is such an important thing in a game like MapleStory nowadays, where if you don't have any spawn increases, then you really notice that there aren't any mobs around. And then if you use like the ones that they make available to you, it's alright, but it's not the best. Whereas something like a Frenzy Totem, which is the best item in the game for that, you get the best experience. And Pokemon Go doesn't really have that many choices in terms of they've got 2 different methods that you can do to increase spawn, and then you can also rely on the amount of mobile phone users that are around to increase that as well by the amount of signals that are being put off. Wow, nice. But yeah, so I think they are quite similar, and I felt like Niantic was managing things better as a company, but seeing how they've just kind of ignored everyone's opinions in regards to these changes and just gone through it anyway. Sure that they can still roll it back, especially with COVID looking like it's making another return in the US, in states like Florida in particular, where you look at how they're the epicenter of the pandemic there now with their numbers. But yeah, it's certainly one of those things where I wouldn't really, if I were advising any sort of company that has COVID policies in place, like I know my workplace does, there hasn't been any mention of, winding back anything, especially considering that we're in the middle of a lockdown. But even we went a few months between lockdowns, and even then we didn't really drop our guard. We kept everything up. We kept hand sanitizer everywhere. It wasn't done. It was, always at risk of coming back. So just with how Niantic's sort of hopefully looking at pushing all the COVID changes back and bringing the communities back together, it's just not the time for it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. I don't think I am going to completely go with what some people are pushing in terms of boycotting the game. I'm still going to play it. Am I going to put money into it? Probably not. But yeah, it's I'm still going to be free to play, where I'll just have my Go Plus going, catching stuff, spinning stops, doing my special research tasks and all of that, and yeah, just waiting to see what happens. But yeah, it is actually interesting as well. I saw this morning, I'm recording this on the 4th, so seeing what the third part of the unlock is as well. I'll go into it when we're through this scene. Ta-ta. Oh dear, I guess we better go talk to her. Or not. I tried to say something to you and you didn't want to talk. At 4 stadiums, huh? Okay, let's go to it. So yeah, so the Ultra unlocks, which were announced during the Go Fest event, in terms of working towards completing quests. I think we had to do like a series of them in order to unlock them. Let's leave Hammerlock till last. We'll start off with, yeah, Snow on side. And so unlock 1 was Dialga, unlock 2 was Palkia, so space and time, or time and space, whichever way, yeah. And then the third one was left in a little bit of a mystery in terms of not letting on to what's what. Good, we're all healed up, not going to make that mistake again. And yeah, so everyone was sort of predicting that it was either going to be something like Giratina or, you know, Hooper was involved, so maybe it's Hooper. And it ended up being neither of them. So strangely enough, they're releasing the Galar region legendaries into the game before they even do Gen 7. So they're skipping Alola for the time being, and they're releasing Zacian and Zamazenta in that order. So Zacian's going to come first, and then Zamazenta's going to come second. So it's interesting. Like, I'm happy to see them in the game, because obviously that's the game that we're playing right now, and it'll be interesting seeing, you know, like the Greedents and the Wooloos, and especially having all the Galar versions like Zigzagoon and Ponyta coming back into 7-kilometer eggs. It'll certainly be fun. But I don't think anyone was really expecting them to do the Galar region before they even did Alola, considering that they've sort of been teasing that like the Gen 7 Alolan starters would be coming out. But then, I guess they will at some point, but they're going to do all the Galar stuff first. I don't think the Galar starters are coming. That wouldn't make sense for them to come out first. But yeah, it certainly took people by surprise. I kind of just looked at my phone. I was like, really? That's what they brought up? Am I fighting by myself? No, surely not. I wasn't really paying attention to the screen up until now, but I can't really see anyone else here. Yeah, I am fighting by myself. Weird. Whatever. Yeah, so it'll be cool seeing how powerful they are in the game, because every legendary always gets a nerf. The shinies won't be out yet, so I'm not going to do them that hard. I might do like a handful of each to try and get a high stat one, but I'll certainly leave the farming of them, especially if I'm playing the game then, in the future when they bring out the shiny versions of Zacian and Zamazenta. It'll be interesting to see if they bring Eternatus into the game at some point. So yeah, it was an interesting announcement. I would have loved for it to be Giratina, to be honest, because I didn't get that many Giratina raids in during GoFest, because I was focused on doing all the legendaries rather than just focusing on one. Yeah, we'll still alright. So yeah, it'd be nice to get like shiny Giratina and to farm like candy and all that to power one up, because Giratina is a very strong Pokemon in general. Ooh, nearly got him. But I guess yeah, it'll come. Like, that's the thing. Like, they always come back around. Yeah, good. Would have been very upset if that hit me. Alright, let's just finish off with an air slash. But yeah, so it's certainly interesting, this 25th anniversary. I'm still hoping that they've got a little bit more up their sleeve. I know they had DLC for Pokemon Snap, so the episode that I released today, as I'm recording on the 4th, was the roll credits episode. So we did the final Illumina Pokemon, which ended up being Xerneas, which was pretty cool. And there's still a lot more to go, so I'm still going to be pushing out episodes of that for probably quite a while, until I'd like to cover all the areas and try and get as many photos of every Pokemon in the game. So there's 230 something odd Pokemon I think now, because they released an extra 20 in the DLC. which was a free update, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so I'd like to cover all the new areas, try and get as many as I can, and then I figure the way that I'm going to do it, because it might get a little bit boring, is I'll still record myself playing through all of it, but I'll only do highlights as I get either new Pokemon or new 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, or 4-star photos. And then I'll probably grind each level up to level 3, because then we'll have new Pokemon to encounter there. So yeah, that's what the plan is for Pokemon Snap. I look forward to seeing what the new areas look like. And yeah, it'll be interesting how long that series will go for. Alright, so let's take on one more gym before we call it that. So we'll have... oh, I don't think I need to heal up, do I? No, I do. Good that I came in here then. So yeah, we'll do the last 2 remaining gyms in the next episode, after we take on the Balanlia one. And we're not really that far away from Diamond and Pearl coming out, so they're probably about 3 months away from coming out. I think they're coming out in November. So yeah, that's coming up quickly, so that's good. I think we'll be done with Shield by then. At least I think so, because yeah, the DLC for both parts will be probably a couple of episodes each, I'd say. It's once you know what you're doing and where you're going, it's fairly straightforward. Oh, it's a bead. You lot. Okay, let's go. 4 Pokemon, huh? Sure. I didn't really plan this out well, did I? Yeah, let's just fight our way through, huh? Not very effective. Fairy Wind again. But yeah, speaking of raid bosses and all of that, I actually did end up getting a second shiny Dialga, which I was fairly happy with. And yeah, I kind of fell off doing them after getting that one, because I think I got a second shiny and then I got a 96% IV, which, look, it's not exactly 100% perfect, obviously, but it was certainly something that I'm happy to hold on to for the time being, because I'm not in any rush to... What are you going to have? Yeah, okay. in terms of powering one up because I don't really need one straight away. Okay, we're down here. But yeah, so I will have enough candy to power one up if I really needed to, but I'm happy to wait for the next time that it comes around, whenever that is, to have another go at getting a hundo. I haven't really found a hundo recently, to be honest. I've gone through a bit of a dry spell because I found I think my last one was a whooper that I had. Oof, definitely did quite a lot of damage. I'll just take you down there. And yeah, so I did get that shiny, so I will end up moving one into Pokemon Home and then into, well, first I'll wait and see whether Pokemon Home communicates with Diamond and Pearl. Surely they will, and then I'll move one in there when the game's all done and all that. And yeah, what am I going to do here? I don't know the attack advantage, and down it goes. But yeah, so I'll move one there, or I'll see if I can move one to Pokemon Shield first, so that I can work on. Ooh, that was super effective. So I can work on its stats, because I think it gets randomized when it comes through Pokemon Home. I've never really looked at Pokemon which I've sent from Go to Pokemon Shield, because I haven't really had the need to just yet. But yeah, so it'll be fun having that in the Diamond and Pearl remakes. I will be going for a shiny Palkia. I probably won't be going for a high IV. I'll pretty much just settle until I get the shiny. And I'll be happy for whatever I get along the way as well. But yeah, other than that, I really don't want to spend too much on remote raid passes, especially with what people are wanting to do with players voting with their wallets. But yeah, I do have some remote raid passes built up. Yeah, come on, blah blah blah. I've still got a ways to go. Hatterene. So yeah, it's awkward because yeah, I do have some remote raid passes, and you do get your free raid passes as well. So there is a free to play option if you really wanted to. But yeah, it's a hard balance, especially when they put something like that behind a paywall, because the rates for shiny Dialga were fairly low, and I imagine the same's going to be for that sucks. The same for our friend Palkia, but we'll worry about it when we get to it. There's no point in really fretting over it. Now it comes out on Friday the 6th, so I think after 10 AM. So yeah, we'll do some raids there. I think I've got the day off because work is making us take time off being in lockdown, so I won't be able to go out, but I've certainly got enough gyms around me to jump in on some remote raids from home. And Gym Leader Bede is down. Hopefully that's the last time we really have to fight them in the storyline, that is. So you can accept me now as the champion, even though you also battled me during the cup, and I beat you during the cup. Well, after all of that, he's really strong. On to the next one. Yep, 2 stadiums left. Alright, so that is where we are going to finish this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Keep an eye out for the next one next week, where we finish off the last 2 Dynamax Pokemon at the last 2 gyms. See you later.